Hey everybody, it's DJ Sage, and you're listening to Showstoppers on Radio is Magic. Well, why don't we get this started? We have some awesome fanfiction lined up today. We actually have a special one lined up written by one of our very own listeners, Blinkie Pie, that we are going to read. It's a nice little short fanfiction about Pinkie Pie breaking the fourth wall, as always. So, shall we get this started with this fanfiction? Yes.
Perhaps we can, or maybe we can't.
Oh my.
It depends on the situation and the circumstances.
Yes.
Well, let us try. So, as far as I can tell in this fanfiction, there is Pinkie Pie and the narrator, who is a person, boy, guy, I assume. So, which of you two lovely gentlemen would like to narrate / do his what am I saying, dialogue?
I guess I'll do it.
Yay!
Alrighty.
Yay, Pippi!
And Raz, would you like to play Pinkie Pie?
Okay.
Alrighty then. In that case, let us get to it. This is Pinkie On My Desktop by Zubrick, aka Blinkie Pie.
Blinkie.
Thank you, Blinkie. Yeah. So let's get to it. Whenever you're ready, let's go.
We all know Pinkie Pie can break the fourth wall, right? Well, you're never gonna believe this, but Pinkie visited me on my computer. Don't believe me? I'll tell you the whole story. It all started on one late Friday night. I was browsing through fanfiction when I heard a noise come from my browser tabs. I looked up to see a small pink tail hanging out from the bottom of it. I leaned forward to get a better look when suddenly a pink head popped up from behind the tab, yelling,
Surprise!
Vegeta, I think I want you to voice, I'll narrate.
Oh.
Okay then. Let me get back to the page then.
Everyone has a part.
Except Seiji.
Pinkie Pie?
I shouted, nearly jumping out of my seat.
Yep, that's me.
She said as she bounced up, stood on top of the tab.
You look bored, so I thought I would come and visit.
She said as she looked around the screen. I thought I was dreaming for a moment, but there she was. I checked my taskbar. Desktop Ponies wasn't turned on. Even if it was, it couldn't do that. Pinkie stared down and noticed something.
Oh, you're reading a fanfiction.
She said while hopping up and down in excitement. With a quick leap, she bounced off the tab and landed on the web page's menu bar.
Is it about me? Oh, please tell me it's about me.
Pinkie said as she kept bouncing. I thought to myself,
This can't really be happening. What in the world was it that soda I just drank?
I kept watching in awe at the sight of it all. Pinkie smiled ear to ear as she read the page.
Oh, it's about me. Yay!
She dashed over to the rating bar and looked in awe.
And look at all the likes.
She clapped her hopes together and began bouncing on the like bar. The bar bounced up and down like a trampoline, matching the pink pony's movements. Pinkie merely cheered as she kept bouncing. I watched with amazement as the bar suddenly snapped in half and disappeared from view. As Pinkie flew into the air, she looked down to the now absent like bar. She stopped in midair, and for a moment I saw shock upon Pinkie's face. My eyes followed her as she fell down to the screen, yelling,
Whee!
As a pony reached the halfway point, she pulled out an umbrella from her tail. The umbrella opened and Pinkie floated down, landing smoothly on the taskbar. Pinkie smiled.
That was fun. Let's do it again.
She said while cartwheeling to the right. I still couldn't believe what I was seeing, man. I mean, seriously. I continued staring at my browser. As my browser crashed, it closed to reveal my pony-filled desktop, the image of Ponyville as my background. Pinkie stared at the screen for the moment and she turned to face me. She grinned nearly ear to ear as she spoke.
Oh, you're one of those obsessed brownies.
I stared back with her with a hint of annoyance.
I am not.
I said as I grabbed my mouse and began to poke Pinkie with my cursor.
Quit it!
She said as she started running away from the cursor that was chasing her. With a flash of pink, she dove into a house and disappeared from view. I darted my eyes around the screen in an attempt to find her. A second later, Pinkie popped her head out of one of the windows.
Over here!
I raced my cursor over to grab her, only to have her dash inside and reappear somewhere else.
Missed me.
She said, giggling. I darted my mouse across the screen over and over and over and over, trying to catch her. Eventually, every time I got close enough to poke her, she appeared in another window, or door, or flower pot of Ponyville. I eventually gave up, sat back, took a breather, and said,
Okay, Pinkie, you win.
Pinkie trotted out a sugar cube corner with a huge grin on her face.
See? Wasn't that fun?
I smiled back.
Yeah, I guess it was.
Before I could comment further, Pinkie raced over to a few nearby icons and started juggling them. The icons she grabbed just so happened to be her and the rest of the main 6. My eyes followed each icon as they were thrown about. Pinkie was doing fine for a while until she lost her balance. I watched Pinkie frantically tried to catch her friends, only to have them shatter against the taskbar one by one. Pinkie dove to her icon as she saw her get closer and closer to the ground. She slid to catch it, only short by a few pixels. The icon popped like a balloon as it hit the taskbar. Pinkie slammed her hoof against the taskbar, the look on her face, screaming,
Oh, so close!
A few seconds later, a few pink pixels rose from the icon that had shattered. The pixel glowed for a brief moment as they came together to form another Pinkie Pie. In panic, I threw my cursor at the clone. The clone jumped as a cursor impacted her flank.
Hey, what was...
The clone was abruptly cut off as it popped out of existence. Pinkie looked at me. She seemed annoyed and a bit shocked.
Hey, what gives? 2 Pinkies are better than 1, you know.
She said while flailing her hooves in the air. I looked at her and replied,
Oh no, I'm not having too many Pinkie Pies happen on my computer.
Pinkie stared back at me and said,
Oh, come on, why not? It'll be fun. You already know how it ends.
I leaned back on my chair, putting my hands on my face. Against my better judgment, I gave in. I leaned back to the computer and mumbled to myself,
I'm going to regret this.
I grabbed my mouse, opened up Desktop Ponies, and selected Pinkie Pie, and typed in 20. Before I could click OK, Pinkie jumped up and said,
20? Oh, come on, 30 Pinkie Pies are much more fun.
I just stared back at her.
30. You're kidding, right?
Pinkie stared at me with big puppy eyes.
Oh, what harm could 10 more do? Please?
She said, sinking her lip down and making the doll factor skyrocket. I eventually gave in, looking at her wide eyes.
Okay, just put those away. I can't take any more cute.
Pinkie bounced with joy.
Do it!
I clicked the go button, and as you can imagine, chaos ensued. I watched as the program exploded like a volcano, spewing pies in every direction. The screen was soon covered in Pinkies doing all sorts of things. One was playing volleyball with my recycling bin. One group, I mean. A bunch of Pinkies that had dumped the contents of some holders and were swimming in them. I saw one group parading around Ponyville, each with a different instrument. As my eyes raced around the screen, I spotted a small rainbow dash in the corner of my monitor. She was in a ball. She seemed to be muttering to herself. I leaned closer to hear her mutter.
Make it stop, 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 make it stop.
I leaned back once more and merely stared at the chaos of what was happening before me. The chaos continued as I continued on for about a minute. Then suddenly all the Pinkies stopped and seemed to focus on something. I watched as all the Pinkie tails twitched in unison. They all looked at each other and said,
Something is gonna fall.
They all froze, repeating the last syllable over and over and over. Suddenly, the top of the screen became a giant blue square. I saw text on it. I knew what it was. My computer had just blue screened. For a second, I thought it was over, but I was just about to force my computer to reboot. I saw Pinkie flank wiggling free from underneath the screen. I kept watching as she pulled her body from underneath and shook her head. She looked up and a sheepish grin came upon her face.
Oops.
My chin dropped as I stared, my mind blown by what had just happened. Pinkie looked at me as she moved towards the edge of the monitor. She looked at her tail and suddenly pointed in the opposite direction.
Look, a blind bag pony.
I shot my head to the left, looking away for a second. All I could see was this was all the time Pinkie needed as she pulled out a doorknob and opened the door out of nowhere. I looked back to see her stick her head out.
Bye!
She said as she shut the door. The door vanished instantly into thin air. I threw my hands up and shouted,
Pinkie Pie!
End scene. Oh, that was
that was
awesome.
pretty freaking awesome.
That was good. Blinky Pie, thank you so much for that.
That was silly.
Yep. As I stated before, this is written by one of our awesome listeners, Blinky. Yay, Blinky!
Yay! Yay.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I thoroughly enjoyed it as well.
It was funsies.
I approve. Raz.
I always on Showstoppers.
Get back to work.
What?